Today, we're going to talk about doing a makeover for our minds. Right now, I'm fascinated by the concept of speaking positive to ourselves, about ourselves. We talk about eating clean food, we clean our houses, we are back to showering every day, and we put on our makeup and do our hair. And all of this is geared towards the exterior, what's on the outside. And I want to focus today on what are the thoughts that we're thinking on the inside? What are we thinking to ourselves about ourselves? When I'm doing the dishes, am I saying to myself, wow, you did a great job doing those dishes? Way to scrub all the food off. You really nailed that. What a pro. Well, of course not. I know that sounds silly, and that isn't what we're usually thinking about ourselves. Usually, what I'm thinking of is all of the things that I maybe didn't get done that day. Maybe I'm thinking about something I could have said better or done better. And actually, I find that I engage in a lot of negative self talk more than I realized. That's why this concept of speaking positive is so interesting to me right now. If I'm thinking about work while I'm doing the dishes, then I'm not present in the present moment by any means. And why am I giving myself such a hard time? No one is listening to my thoughts. Why am I flooding myself with negative thoughts about myself? Why do we spend any time criticizing ourselves or having negative thoughts about ourselves? I'm realizing that it just shouldn't happen ever. This is one of my biggest goals for 2024 is to catch myself if I'm having that negative speak, if I'm having that negative thought pattern, and gently guide myself to a more neutral thought at first, and then ultimately a more positive thought. This is actually going to be the first in a 6-part series. Today's episode, I want to focus on speaking positive to ourselves. We're going to cover a lot of tips and tricks on how to gently guide ourselves into some more positive speak. If you're ready, let's get started. Hello and welcome. Danette here. Thank you for joining me on the Shine First Today podcast. Please consider liking and subscribing so that you can stay informed when we release new episodes like this one. What exactly is a mindful makeover? It occurs to me that I spend a lot of time keeping my house in order, curating the clothes I wear to work, putting on my face, as my Grammy used to say, and I realize that I'm not paying as much attention to the thoughts that I'm thinking to myself as I am to my outward appearance. When I first watch the episodes after I film them, I'm hypercritical of flyaway hairs or unblended makeup or the obvious self consciousness of being plus size. I find that I start to get nervous a day or two ahead of filming in anticipation of the negative feelings I feel when I see myself at first on camera. I was so nervous at first when I started the Ready to Retire podcast. I didn't film myself for the first 8 or 10 episodes. Something really interesting happens, though, by the time I'm done editing the episode. By the time I have all of the goofs and all of the ums and ahs taken out, I find that I'm really proud of the final product. I'm really excited that I was able to convey pretty close to what I was hoping to convey. What's really nice is I'm starting to get some lovely feedback from people who are enjoying these episodes. And it makes me feel so good inside. I'm so appreciative, I can't tell you. Which is the whole point of doing these episodes is to help share some of the lessons that I've learned to help make it easier for you on your journey. What if I flip the script a little bit and when I start to get ready to film an episode, what if I start thinking about the end result? Instead of being nervous about what I'm going to say or how I might look, what if I started thinking, oh, I'm going to be so proud when this episode is done? Or I'm going to be so excited when I get some feedback that maybe possibly I helped someone. Isn't that a different mindset? Negative thoughts are like clutter. Negative thoughts can significantly impact our mental health, just like clutter can disrupt the harmony of a space. These thoughts can erode self esteem, strain relationships, and impede personal growth. They can gain momentum as we focus on what's not working. Either avoid thinking the thought or see if you can gently reframe it into something more positive. I'm not suggesting that we ignore our problems. I'm just asking us to think about how we engage about our problems in our own minds, just to be mindful of how we're communicating to ourselves about them. Let's talk about the power of positive thinking. It offers a ton of benefits like enhanced resilience, which we all need right now. It improves our mental health, it's more fun, and it can directly lead to better life outcomes. These are the thoughts that we're thinking to ourselves. No one is going to hear you if you're cheering yourself on, if you're proud of yourself, if you're jumping for joy and excited to yourself about yourself. Feel into the energy of being proud of yourself, and you will be amazed at the results. I heard Mel Robbins speak not too long ago, and she talked about the high five habit. And that's where you go into the mirror in the morning, and before you leave for the day, you give yourself a crisp high five. In her book, The High Five Habit, they talk about numerous stories of how this simple act of giving yourself a high five has changed people's lives. Let's talk about some practical tips and strategies that we can do to help change that inner dialogue and speak positive to ourselves. Let's start by talking about our morning rituals. What are we doing first thing in the morning when we get up? Try to start your day with a morning ritual that lifts your spirit. It could be a morning stretch, it could be a quick meditation, it could be a list of things you're looking forward to happening in the day ahead, or even giving yourself a high five in the mirror in the morning. These actions set a positive tone for the rest of your day. Mindfulness practices. This can be as simple as just taking a few deep breaths. In the heart mind coherence meditation, it's a 4-minute meditation that can absolutely just get you peaceful and centered and grounded in just a very quick amount of time. One of the ones I like to do is doing a mindful walk. You go outside, you don't have on headphones, and you're just paying attention to all the sights and the sounds and the smells around you. Cognitive reframing. When a negative thought arises, ask yourself, how can I reframe the thought that I'm thinking about this subject? How can I view this subject differently? How can I change the way I'm viewing something, the way I'm thinking about something, and change it into either a neutral or a more positive viewpoint? Gratitude journaling. This is obviously one of my favorite ones. And journaling is one of the most important tools I have in my toolbox. I journal on a very regular basis. I gain so much insight whenever I'm struggling on anything. When I'm thinking about something and I'm spinning out of control on it, I tend to rehash the same thoughts over and over. But when I take the effort of writing it down onto paper, I don't rewrite what I've just written, and I think I get farther along in solving the problem. Taking the time to focus on the things that you're grateful for, is such a positive thing that you can do for yourselves. Engaging in joyful activities. This has to be one of my favorite on the list. Make time for activities that bring you joy and relaxation. This weekend, we had a sleepover with our granddaughter, and we decided we were going to watch the movie Elf. And we made such a game out of it. We made tickets and we set up a snack bar and where we popped popcorn and had a couple of snacks. And we stacked up some bins to make a counter space. And she came up to the counter and I took her tickets and everybody had an assigned seat. And we sat down and we got the movie queued up and my husband dimmed the lights. And the thrill of excitement that it sent through me and my granddaughter as we're getting ready to watch this movie that we've seen many times before, Elf, which we love. Just the simple act of watching a movie was transformed into this really fun experience. The next morning, it was the very first thing she talked about. It was so much fun. Positive social interactions. This cannot be understated. Surround yourself with positive and supporting people. Positive social interactions can improve your mood and offer different perspectives on life challenges. You know who in your group of friends is going to have the most positive outlook in any given situation. Go to them first. I remember a number of years ago, I had an interaction with a client that just didn't go well. And I was really beating myself up, wondering how could I have done that better? I called my friend and I laid it out to him, all the things that I'd done, and he thought about it. And his conclusion was, well, Danette, I don't think you could have done anything better. I've never forgotten that. It meant so much to me because I was engaged in the self-talk where I was criticizing myself. And if I would have just stayed in the miserable mindset that I was in, who knows how long that would have lasted. So surround yourself with people who are positive and think positively. One tip that I feel important to mention is seek professional guidance. If negative thoughts are too persistent, too overwhelming, and you're struggling and having a hard time getting out of the negative thought pattern, seek professional guidance. They can custom tailor a plan specifically to you that could help. Self-compassion. This is really the heart of speaking positive to ourselves, isn't it? Practice self-compassion by treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would a friend. Acknowledge your own efforts and forgive yourself your mistakes. Technically, you've never made a mistake to begin with. You've only had learning experiences. Be compassionate with yourself. Congratulate yourself on your wins. And remind yourself that every step along the way is part of the journey. And what an amazing journey it is, right? By incorporating these types of strategies into your life, you can cultivate a more positive mindset, effectively doing a mindful makeover, which can lead to more happier and fulfilling life. Remember, the key is awareness and to have fun with it. Let us know in the comments, which of these strategies will you consider employing in the coming days? We did an episode recently on self-love. I will link to it here. Thank you so much for being with me today. I so appreciate you. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next episode.